Just the first thing that I want to get into here, I want to talk about the box office for Dune. And of course, we're going to talk about, its success this weekend, but it's really all about weekend number 2. How big's the drop-off going to be? What's the competition like? Because again, I really want to see Dune 2 again. I'm actually questioning whether or not I will go see it again. It's just one of those things. Like, I don't know if you guys have that feeling or not. I'm literally like, oh, I'd love to go see that movie again. Don't think I will, though. Like, how am I going to find the time? Like, when am I going to find the time? It is what it is. Okay, so let's get into the actual numbers. Box office, Dune 2 delivers on promise with big 81.5 domestic opening. Denis Villeneuve, did I say it right finally? Sci-fi epic starring Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya also blew away audiences overseas, scored $178 million. Warner Brothers and Legendary's Dune Part 2 has delivered on its promise to re-energize the box office after a terrible early winter. Yeah, that's another kind of part of this story, is just how bad the box office has been in this winter. And I mean, I don't know, man, between the Marvels and Madam Web, you got a lot of stinkers in there, right? Denis Villeneuve sequel, sporting an A-list cast, god damn it, opened to an estimated $81.5 million in North America this weekend, double that of the first film, and the biggest opening of the year to date. It's a major win for Legendary and broadening the audience for its Dune franchise, and its biggest opening to date for Villeneuve and Chalamet. Dune 2 likewise whipping up a sandstorm overseas. Oh shit, nice! Where it opened to $97 million in 71 markets for a global start of $178 million. It doesn't land in China until next weekend, and Japan the week after that. Sci-fi can be a tough sell in certain regions, including some Latin American markets, but Europe and other areas more than made up for any gaps. The UK led with 11.5 million, followed by France's 9.3 and Germany's 8.4. The film also did huge business in IMAX theaters, which delivered 32.2 of the million total global gross, or a notable 18%. In 10 markets, IMAX enjoyed its biggest opening ever. Like his friend Christopher Nolan, Villeneuve shot part of the movie with IMAX cameras. Throughout the weekend, Warner Brothers tried to manage expectations and suggested Dune 2 would debut more 72 to 75 million range. Sci-fi genre can be a tough sell, and Villeneuve films run 2 hours and 46 minutes. It is a hard thing to sort of slot out. With travel and everything, you're looking like 3.5 hours, 4 hours. So it's hard to kind of slot that time out. Dune 2's secret sauce, a glowing A cinema score compared to the A- for the first, stellar reviews, and again, glowing audience exit scores. Heading into the weekend, tracking said Dune 2 would launch domestically at 74 million. Warner Brothers, however, remained more conservative, sticking with 65 domestic, 75 million overseas. After enduring one of the worst early winters in years outside of the pandemic, theaters are banking on the movie to usher in a steady stream of event fare that was delayed by last year's labor strike. Almost done with this article here. Theaters are unhappy when Legendary, led by CEO Josh Gode, decided to delay the movie's release from last fall to now so that Chalamet and Zendaya would both be available to publicize the film and help broaden the appeal. Both have had sway with younger viewers, but it turned out to be the right move. One example being the attention Chalamet received for his performance in Warner Bros. Holiday Winter Wonka. Okay. So let's see here. Dune grossed more than $402 million at the worldwide box office in 2021, a solid and promising number considering the pressures of the pandemic and the film's day-and-date streaming release. That is actually true. But the filmmakers have far bigger expectations for the follow-up. Dune 2's Thursday previews numbers, 12 million, was also more than double the 5.1 million grossed in previews by Dune in 2021. Although that movie was hobbled by both pandemic and decision to debut it simultaneously on HBO Max, now known simply as Max. Overall, the film was the strongest preview showing since Barbie, racked up 22.3 million July 2023 around the same weekend. Oppenheimer started off with 10.5 in previews on a way of domestic debut of 82.5. Barbie rocketed to 162. Preview gross was included 1 million tracking from an earlier IMAX fan event. Okay, so I find this to be pretty interesting. Obviously, a successful opening weekend for Dune. I don't think it's like all-time great or like a super big record holder. Like, I think it's the 8th biggest opening ever for this particular month, which is good, but, not great. Pretty solid, though. And I like this fact that it kind of opens with Oppenheimer. But here's the question. Because Oppenheimer, at least as far as I understand it, Oppenheimer just kept on trekking. Like, it had a modest opening weekend and then just kept making money, and it remained in theaters for a long, long time. And just kind of like that Top Gun Maverick kind of a vibe, where it's just a great movie to see in the theaters. The word of mouth on it just got stronger and stronger. And so it had legs. Like, it had a long time to make all of that money. A lot of eyes are going to be looking at what is the second weekend drop-off for Dune 2. And I think that will kind of make or break how successful the movie will be overall. We're also going to be heading into the summer season in, like, I don't know, a couple of weeks into a month. So we'll see if any of those movies kind of take a chunk out of Dune 2. As I was asking, I wanted to see how many of you guys were going to go see Dune 2. And, man, I want it to do really well. I personally really do want to see it again, but it's like, it's a huge chunk of time. And I don't know. It's going to be like, how many people are just going to wait for streaming with this film? You know what I mean? Dune has no competition until Ghostbusters and Godzilla at the end of the month. Yeah, but I mean, that's true and that's fair. I would argue those are pretty substantial competitors. And so that could cut off like the super long legs of the movie succeeding and making a bunch of money. There's also this whole thing with the HBO show. And I'm just curious. We talked about last week how although I love this movie and I really like Dune as a franchise, I just don't think it has the ingredients to be as mass appeal and as pop culturally relevant as some other big franchises and brands. Sort of like the weirdness, the nuanced take on, the hero, lack of merchandise, timing, all sorts of aspects could be holding it back. So I guess we're just going to kind of wait and see if it has an incredibly strong hold going in to week 2. I think some conversations are going to start to happen as far as how big of a deal this is and how exciting this is. I think the one thing that is sort of assured is that at the very least, we will be getting the third movie. Really interested in how that's going to happen, but I would put that on a timetable of like 3 years. I think Denis is going to take his time. I think Timothy's got stuff going on. Zendaya's got stuff going on. So I think it might be 3 years before you would see that last Dune movie. And then, Denis doesn't want to go forward. He doesn't want to do like the Children of Dune and all that craziness. But if the movies are successful enough, maybe Warner Brothers, especially maybe after they get purchased or merged or something, Warner Brothers could be really interested in expanding the franchise and in doing more. So this is a very interesting time for Dune. If you're a Dune fan, you're probably like hoping it just crushes. If you're just a fan of good sci-fi, probably hoping for the same. I'm just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens. There's like an MMO video game for Dune. You got that show about the Bene Gesserit. You have the hype of the potential third movie. We'll see. If the formulas, if all of these things kind of come together, and I mean, the one thing you can't deny, at least I don't think you can deny, is that it's a really, really good movie. That second movie, holy shit, incredible. So happy to see it be successful. Questions about how successful it'll be from here on out. But as a big old nerd and somebody that follows this pop culture stuff, man, I am quite curious as to how this all plays out for Dune Part 2.